Every single time I try to go live on YouTube, it asks me for my location. Allow location. No, 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 I'm not going to do that. And funny enough, every single time I log into Facebook, my personal page, it keeps wanting me to do this two-step factor authentication thing. I don't know. It wants me to enter some information, and it says I'm not going to be able to post as my, I don't know, DTI page or group or whatever the case unless I do that. And no, definitely not. I don't care what they want from me. No, every single time. And I saw an article this morning on Twitter that said Facebook was using the data gained from whatever they were getting for that two-step authentication and selling it for advertisements. Duh. I'm not giving them my deets. I also saw that there was this popular, I don't know what page it was on Facebook, deplorable page or something like that. It had 400,000 people in it, and recently the owners of that group sold it. I guess they sold their group. I didn't even know you could do that, sell Facebook groups. And it just turned to shit, and I guess it got banned or something like that because he just completely copped out for it. Whew. Not good, y'all. So anyway, happy Friday. Cheers. I'm gonna have some tea. You might be drinking some coffee, but I'm gonna hang out with y'all for a little bit. There's a lot to talk about. My gosh, a lot to talk about. Of course, massive catalyzing event gripping the nation right now in the form of Kavanaugh's confirmation. But what's really interesting is that I'm seeing a lot of little things, little meaning there's not much attention given to them, but they're actually massive stories slip out. It's like while the nation's attention is gripped with this particular event, there's a lot of little things slipping through the cracks that they're wanting to get out there, but get out there in a real hush way, but just put it out in the public so it's there, right? Meaning that this interesting Q story I saw where a guy was a death threat, or I haven't dug into it too much yet, but it was like the guy that went into Comet Ping Pong and shot it up, like a completely staged event. It's just so many questions around it, and what the heck, it makes no sense. Same thing happened, and they're trying to frame what they called a QAnon fan. And he had a YouTube channel and made videos, I guess, and was like a fan of that weird plastic person that went into the YouTube headquarters and shot it up and killed it. It was really odd. So there's that story. And then there's also, interestingly enough, To the Stars, right? Tom DeLonge's To the Stars whole, I don't know, disclosure of a certain government program and came out in the New York Times back in December thing. You know what I'm talking about. They released their financial statements. I was listening to Jimmy Church this morning, and he was breaking the news of this, going through the different numbers and the things that don't add up. And in the To the Stars financial statements, it said, you know, and a lot of this information that I'm talking to you right now, I'm going to do one of the screen cap videos later. A lot easier to go through information that way. But basically, in that financial statement, it said $37 million in debt. They incurred $37 million of losses, yet they were still able to hold assets, pay staff, it looked like, and make a website, drop a book, conduct business meetings. It even said conduct business meetings with the government. And yet, where's all the money? Like, how are they funding that? Who's funding that? See what I'm saying? So $37 million in losses. And then there were questions about that GoFundMe campaign that was on their website. So when they released it all, remember December of last year, that whole distraction. Even Q mentioned distraction. From what? Well, there was a GoFundMe counter, and even on the website it said how much money was being raised. Well, it was on there for a while, a few months, and then it got up to 2.5 million, and it just stopped. This is what Jimmy Church was saying. I'm going to dig into it a little more. But I remember this counter went up to 2.5 mil. Oh, that's a good amount of money raised. Stopped. Didn't go anywhere for a while. And yet on these financial reports that were released, it only mentioned 1.5 million or something to that effect that was taken in from that GoFundMe. So there's things that aren't adding up. So yeah, a lot of things slipping out into the public domain right now while everybody is gripped with these Kavanaugh hearings. And my, oh my, I mean, these confirmation hearings, it's really, each event we go through, I'm seeing each event we go through is separating more and more the logical, critical thinkers and those that don't. And the reason I say that is because I'm invested, I spend time researching and mingling in different communities, and all across the board, not all across the board, but in certain realms, you know, people can be so awakened, awoke certain topics, and others, there's a certain disconnect. I don't know, there's things they don't see and they think they see. I don't necessarily know what the case is subjectively with them, but people are saying, I believe her. I believe her, and I, you know, believe women, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, my Lord, you can't see that all these accusers are completely framing their arguments and all these curious connections, Soros connections, and why is this third accuser, you know? So there's so many questions, and of course the testimony that does not add up, and the intuitive hits you get from watching their body language and the tears and the testimony. And then the slipped envelopes. What the hell was that? Jackson Lee. Whoop, 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 whoop. That was too obvious. It was like right behind Ford's head. Did they not know that was going to be on camera? A little too obvious. So anyway, what do you guys want to get into? Yeah, totally. She's acting. Absolutely. That's why saying believe her, I mean, this whole idea, this national conversation going on of sex abuse and, yeah, I mean, false accusers hurt men just as much as they hurt women. They hurt both sexes in regards to false accusers come out and then the man's life is ruined, right? You can't, there's a certain amount of reputation you can't get back from that. Like breaking a bone, there's a certain amount of, you know, movement you're never gonna achieve again from tearing a muscle or breaking a bone. Same thing with the man's reputation. And not only that, but women, like when women actually have true stories, when you get all these false accusers come out, it's just going to muddy the waters and people aren't going to take the real claims, the real happenings seriously anymore. So it's just, I mean, you have to bring these ideas into the conversation when people say, I believe her. Like, no, A, think about it. B, see how this harms everybody involved. Ford is a CIA plant, somebody said. I saw a potential connection. I was looking for it, actually. I can't remember where I saw it, maybe on Instagram. And it said that she was the lead of an internship graduate program at Stanford on behalf of the CIA or something to that effect. So I'm going to have to look more into that. But not only that, they're just swamp folk. Like whatever their connection is, whether it's professional or personal, with the third accuser, Swetnick, she lived in D.C. her whole life. Her dad was a high-level NASA official. Like what sort of societies are these people in? And, you know, is it like somebody needs the money, just wants the fame? Did they draw the short straw? You know? These groups are like, oh, God, time's drawing close. You do it. You do it. You go do it. So I don't want to do it. Draw straws. You get the short straw. You'll get a GoFundMe account. Don't worry. But you're the one that'll have to be saying the lines and lying under oath. That's the way the world works, man. Appreciate the super chat. I'm obliged to now go through. I totally even forget about the super chats, to be honest. Are we living through a modern inquisition? Or do we have any kind of legal system where everybody is guilty until proven innocent? Good point. Guilty until proven innocent. You know? The legal system, that's a very large topic when thinking of the law, or I like to call it the legal system, the statutory system. Law is a separate thing to me. You know, I think of that whole idea in a much different way than most. I'm not going to get into that here because it's a very long conversation and shocking in certain ways, triggering for others. So, but the fact is, yeah, you know, guilty until proven innocent. You're just going to come forward in all these protesters. You know, I saw, who was it? Flake getting in the elevator to go to the confirmation hearing, video of him. Protester just holding the door open to the elevator, yelling in his face. These claims, she was saying claims, 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 claims. Yes, claims. Accusations. Look at the definition of accusations. Sometimes it says typically without proof or evidence. And it's a testament to the fact of the emotional nature of things and the separation that needs to be had with left brain and right brain when delving into critically thinking about topics. But that doesn't mean you throw your emotion out of the picture because you utilize your intuition when trying to figure out what's going on. You just get intuitive with the facts. So people are getting triggered and they're not realizing that accusations and claims, got to prove it. What do we have? Nothing at all. Not even nothing but inconsistent testimony because it's inconsistent testimony. So it's nothing but nothing. There's nothing. Love is bombarding children's websites with flat earth. No, love to me is talking about the psyops and talking about the lies and the misinformation. It's funny you bring that up. If I love you, I have to make you conscious of what you don't see. Then you're going to learn some things. You're going to grow. You're going to help yourself, empower yourself, right? I might look like the bad guy for a minute, but that's just your ego getting triggered. I'm standing in that groundedness of, well, here's actually a more sensible reality. You can lead a horse to the water, you can't make him drink it. But you can make that water look a lot better to the horse, make the horse want it. But the idea of, you know, being quiet when psyops are raised, like flat earth, dude, I'll talk about flat earth. I don't mind. Like, it's ridiculous. And the physical theories don't add up. And there's three-dimensional physics out there that are much more sensible, logical, and that actually open up the possibilities of much more magical things than just thinking the earth is what this like spinning coin or rotating thing or whatever the case. And the psyops like flat earth and the, all aliens are demons, and not only that, but the attacks that are out there, the, you know, the plants in the community, and then their misinformative attacks. Like, why do we stay silent about these things? They're ridiculous. So what if you get triggered? You know, I don't mind saying the names of people. Now, I won't do it out of an egoic need to attack or feel better than them or anything like that, but I'll do it if people throw flack at me that is absolutely ridiculous and character assassinating lies about me. Hell yeah, I'll go on Twitter and say, this person's ridiculous, this person's ridiculous, this person's ridiculous. Not because of what they say. Anybody can disagree with me. A lot of people disagree with me. That's okay. I'm not getting mad at disagreement. We're all separate people with separate experiences. I don't have time and don't take the shit of people who purposefully lie and misinform and act like children on a school playground and call names. You know, the names out there. So, yeah. It's like you see Kavanaugh, you get all these baseless claims and accusations against him. He's pissed off. He's in front of the hearing yesterday. He's like getting mad. What the hell are these people saying? Calling their asses out. What's wrong with that? People think it's dividing. I see a lot of that, you know. Oh, by calling out people or organization or this or that, it's dividing the community. You know, what about unity? Well, they're doing the dividing, not me. I'm calling out the dividers. See? It's that false idolship. People think that, oh, you know, because I learned a thing from this person, that means I need to attach to them. because I learned a thing or two from this organization or this radio talking head, I need to attach myself to them. Don't attach yourselves to anybody, you know? Take the information, like Bruce Lee said, take what's useful, reject what's useless, and add your own. Great, give me some information, I'm going to use that. Maybe you gave me some time on your platform, I'm going to use that. But I'm going to just not bother with you when you're doing nonsensical things. The point being, yeah, people are going to attack me. I'm not going to attack them. I'm just going to put it out there like, you're acting a fool and I'm going to have fun with this. Like it's just a big cosmic joke. This whole playground we're on here that we call Earth, not playground, but learning ground, this school, soul school, third density, boom, third grade. We're trying to get to fourth grade here. Fourth density, we just got some things in our minds to work through. I look tired. Is it allergies? No, man, I've been sleeping like 11 hours a night. I've been sleeping a lot. Once, I'm very in tune with the seasons and cycles, rhythms, the law of rhythm, natural law. So I like to move with that. And once winter starts coming, I sleep a lot more. I rest. Especially, man, those like couple weeks around the solstice when it's 16 hours of darkness and 8-9 hours of daylight. Man, I go to bed at 6, 7 p.m., wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning. It was funny, last winter when Q was starting to get big in like December and January, that was my sleep schedule. Bed at 7, up at 3 or 4, and I just learned how to get on 8chan. Took me a month or two to figure that out. And just figured it out. I would get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and I would just sit there. I would just sit there and read, and I wouldn't post much, maybe a thing or two here and there, but figure out how to use it and see all the data they were posting and the community and all that stuff too, and the connections. It was interesting, but you learned a lot about the community and just how it all operates, right? Experience it. Really, to learn it, you got to experience it. Experience is the best teacher. Good question here. I don't mind answering the personal questions. I'm an open book. Have I slowed down on my marijuana intake? Does smoking it ever make you paranoid with the work you do? So quite frankly, with the way that I use cannabis, it has slowed down, but it hasn't stopped. You see, if I smoke too much, I don't get paranoid. I just, I get distracted and focused on different things and procrastinating. But if I go too long without smoking it, it's a weird way to describe it, like too tuned in a way. Start vibrating at this rate, downloading things that I just can't handle without a little bit of release, a little bit of Mary Jane. So we're talking like every 3 days, 4 days maybe. And when I travel, it cuts down a lot less too. So I'll go through tolerance breaks and things like that. So that's how I particularly use it. And I don't like to smoke. The smoke and the edible kind of ranges depending on what's going on. I mean, I'm very calculating with everything I do, all of my intake. I was a personal trainer, strength coach. So it all stemmed from, how many grams of proteins, fats, carbs, how many milligrams of amino acids, your branched chain amino acids, your vitamins, right? It was like to a freaking T. I do the same thing with caffeine, right? I count up the milligrams. Shot of espresso, 75. Black cup of coffee is 125. Scoop of pre-workout, 200, 250. Green tea, depending on the kind, maybe 20 to 70 milligrams. That's self-knowledge right there. Learning, that's raising your consciousness, actually getting down to the nitty-gritty of the information and figure out your intake. Self-knowledge, self-awareness. So, Just be, you know, it's always being responsible, being careful with yourself in any choice you make. Same thing with your, we'll call it natural substance intake. Anything God grows may help you in some way. Let's see here. You know, and the idea of marijuana, I can go deep with that. Go very deep with that. And hemp as well. You know, the real reason in the 1930s, 40s, it was legalized is because industrially, hemp was an answer for everything. And nowadays, man, if we legalized hemp, it would be a construction revolution because you could make hempcrete and grow it so much faster. Not only that, but make houses and industrial stuff out of it. We wouldn't have to cut down the forests as well, you know, because hemp grows at many, many times faster of a rate than trees do to mature in 60 years. Not only that, but I was researching yesterday structured water. I was getting into that. It was fascinating stuff. So I've been researching physics a lot lately. You know, the idea of these torsion fields and rotation in 3 dimensions, implosion as opposed to explosion. All the technologies we've been using past 150 freaking years are all explosive base. All the physics is looking at things materialistically, assuming that the energy only is in something. It doesn't come from an outside source. So our materialistic establishment science thinks that everything is located inside the particle. All the energy needed is inside the thing and it explodes out. It's not in harmony with the natural laws of the universe. It's not how God operates. There's always an inward force as much as an outward, a compressive as much as an expansive, an implosion as much of an explosion. Okay? So implosion, messing with that, well, those are the sciences they don't want out because then you figure out things. Figure out things like over unity free energy devices and how to control gravity, structure water. Structuring water when you simply vortex it with very specific sacred geometrical ratios. Like this isn't like think of a helicopter propeller. When that spins, it's only in 2 dimensions and you bend the blades in a specific way to propel. We're not propelling, we're impelling, and impelling works in 3 dimensions. So this specific impeller it's twisting and it twists at specific ratios. So it's very tough to make one of these things, but it's doable. Victor Schauberger did it, many others, working with the sciences. So impelling a force and structurizing the water, moving it through a device, it it electrifies it. It makes it a more effective conduit for electricity. Grows plants faster, much faster. The plants have a much higher yield. And not only that, but the health effects of drinking it of a human is just enhanced amazingly. So think of growing crops with that. We got all these GMO crops around. What are they doing? Shooting DNA from a gold or gun onto a gold plate with freaking plant matter and making it Roundup ready so we can spray shitloads of poisons on it. Like this mess of an agricultural system that we have in this country. Are you kidding me? And that's another conversation too. It's going to break the hearts of a lot of farmers in this country, but needs to be had. But what if we move these failing, toxic, poisonous, destroying systems, new paradigm, structure our water our plants with that, grow loads of hemp for industrial uses, and Of course, there's vertical farming methods, and hell, if so many of those rich people out there just convert their massive lawns that they manicure to freaking gardens. I mean, come on. It's a revolution of priority and value as much as it is the systems that we have in place. But oh my gosh, like stepping back, getting more philosophical with it, you could say that really there's an answer for everything. Whenever somebody, what do I want to say here? When I see people use such negative, never ever terminology, they say this can't be done. This can never be done. Can't heal this disease. You can't get over this. You're stuck with this. There's no way to feed the world without this, and we're screwed, right? It's like, oh my God, there's ways out there. There's so much they don't tell us, so much that has been done. We don't know. So much out there we have yet to learn and explore and discover. It's like there's a possibility, absolutely. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's always motion forward. Motion is everything. Deep, deep concept right there. In many ways. So, yeah, we could feed the world. Many ways we could do that. Many things we can improve. Yeah, we can energize the planet. We don't need these obnoxious metal fans that are scattering the countryside and ruining my pictures. We don't need these obnoxious giant nuclear towers or whatever the hell. I mean, God, there's technologies that exist. There's ways that exist. Diseases just with a particular mindset, a mindset of openness, willing to learn, willing to try new things. Boo! You can do anything. Diseases can be healed. Just need to understand that, wow, whose information am I going to stumble upon? What am I going to try? How much of my all am I going to give into it? It's the fear that grips people, the subconscious fear they didn't even realize they have, that won't let them go all into potentiating themselves. So there you go. Just have that mindset in mind, and it'll come to you. Once I started waking up to all this, I'm like, oh my God, these things, this is possible? Like, I need this. We need this. And I'm going to explore it and find out about it so I can share it with everybody else. And that's what I'm doing here. All right, any more questions? Let's go through a couple more topics. Somebody said ETs won't show themselves till we've killed off the fear. Okay, good. Good shift. We'll get into that stuff then. Love getting into that stuff. It's so one of those topics out there we have so much more to learn about. And it also triggers a lot of people, which is good because that means getting your belief systems challenged. So that brings up one good point in that, yes, this planet is such a heavy, dense vibration because there's so much fear and anguish and tension that many species that can't handle it, they have a tough time manifesting here, like bringing themselves down into, you could say materializing here. So yeah, that's one thing. Number two is that there's the free will component. There's always the free will component. And the free will component means that, well, they can't show themselves to us unless we authorize it, until we say, hey, okay, we're ready. We want you to come down. And if they show themselves in a capacity over people who do not do that, there becomes a karmic entangle, okay? Now, we can talk about both service to self, like malevolent, bad species, and good species here. So if the bad species, show themselves to you, you basically have to, like I said, authorize it, accept it. So that's why they do their rituals. That's why they do their rituals. They, them, parentheses, 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 to invite these archonic beings down. And that's why, on a positive note, if you go out, you can go out to freaking ranches and contact events or whatever the case is, and go out with a group of positively intentioned beings, hold an open space, and they'll show themselves. That's why I like going, hey, that's why I like going here. Shout out to ESETI. Been there 3 times, every single time, every single night, you see something in the sky. Much rather go to one of those places than, you know, what do they do in the Black Forest? Bohemian Grove. Ugh. Funny, talking about that whole aliens or demons psyop. I released that video last night on my thoughts on that whole Gaia situation. And there's this commenter that comments under any single video that's on any of, not any, many channels, multiple times from different accounts. And it says, the New World Order thing, something about the alien deception, that's the great deception, the Illuminati would do or whatever, and Jesus is coming, and it's that narrative. It's feeding into that narrative. And they'll literally post again, change it to a different account, do it again. And I was watching like a Secure Team or a Third Phase of the Moon video or something like that. They're logging to do it on those channels like over and over. They've been doing it for like a year. And it's really a testament to another one of those psyops being pushed out there, you know, especially since it's blowing into the mainstream. We had the mainstream articles about these DoD UFO programs, you know, kind of the psyop-y ones. But then we had Q even mentioned highest classification, no, we're not alone, et cetera, et cetera. So it's blowing into the mainstream consciousness. So that's why they need to come out with their narratives, their angles, their limited hangouts, their partial truths, you know. And man, that's going to be a big relearn. I don't want to say trigger because that word gets tossed around far too much. But relearn. It's going to be a big shock and awe. A lot of people have. Is that there's, I mean, it's just logic, right? Logical thinking. There's other spinning balls of plasma out there in this electric universe. So, of course, there's going to be electric life that forms on those spinning electric plasma balls that are rotating about those light-emitting big plasma balls, right? It's all electric universe. Life is electric. And it's all consciousness. So, of course, life grows consciousness. And boom, there's going to be physical beings elsewhere. Big point. Physical beings. And those physical beings are going to evolve. You know, we're that 3rd grade here right now. They're going to evolve to 4th grade. They're going to be able to get off their planet, go interstellar, figure out the technologies and the actual physics and get rid of whatever dark forces are keeping them down, right? They're going to get off their planet and they're going to go explore and help others. And we're here on this planet at this particular point in history. You know, we've got so many species here watching. They're watching the fight. We've got dark species that have infiltrated it for thousands of years. You know, this is nothing new. And there are light forces that are helping it. They can only show themselves so much, you know. They're waiting for us to get our shit together, basically. And stand up for ourselves, root out the dark, but only mature mentally enough as well to allow them, you know. They're not going to come down if we're derping here. If we can't. If we can't understand what's going on. And that also gets into a large conversation. I see some people talking about the dimensional. I'm looking around, right, because I get too distracted with the comments. It doesn't let me go on my rants. I see some people talking about the dimensional thing, and that's going to be probably a topic for a whiteboard video, actually. A lot of videos, because it's fascinating science, the theoretical stuff that I'm getting into. Because you see this term interdimensional being thrown around all the time. Getting technical, we are interdimensional beings. Everything that exists here is an interdimensional being. It exists in the dimensions of space and the dimensions of time. Okay? The question is, what What grade? It makes it really simple. What grade has it achieved? What density? We here are in third. Once you get into fourth, fifth grade density octave, that's when you can start playing around with the abilities of consciousness, such as astral travel and remote viewing and telepathy and et cetera, okay? Do I think ET helping Q? I don't know. I can't speak to that in any way, shape, or form. How do I want to say this? I don't know about directly, right? We could say ETs have been helping us indirectly around the planet for a long time. There's crop circles everywhere that they're laying, trying to get you to wake the hell up. There's hints in ancient scripture and ancient art, and there's structures and symbols everywhere that have been laid to, as hints. And many people have been contacted as well. Contactees out there with their stories, trying to get us all to wake up. It's like bit by bit, there's been touches left by other races to wake us all up. Granted, again, we got to do it on our own. So it's only those who are ready, who, the choice to know will be yours, as they say. But now, what kind of ET species may or may not be helping said alliance groups. Q, don't know. Other factions of the alliance, other cells, you could say, maybe. Remember on Dr. Sala's website, he was releasing pictures of craft, triangular, cigar-shaped, rectangular, so they were anti-gravity, electrogravitic, and whatever other technologies were on board, craft above MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa Bay. These were pictures he released towards the end of last year, 2017, so 10 months ago. And they were these craft over MacDill, home of special operations in Tampa Bay. So man-made, maybe, of course. Could have kept these craft underground there at MacDill. And you got to understand, to get these craft underground, it's not like they have to land and they wheel them into a warehouse and these craft dematerialize. They could dematerialize from freaking low Earth orbit or way out there. We might not even see it. Dematerialize from out there, end up in the underground base, right? So again, little things that make a world of difference in understanding all this. So these could have been man-made craft, putting on a show because some alliance groups, some cells, some factions want to disclose these things, right? Or not ours, theirs. Theirs maybe trying to help us, okay? There is evidence. There is corroborating evidence and testimonial evidence discussing non-terrestrial species assisting us, terrestrial species, in trying to get rid of the cabal. Now, to say that we know who is helping what with why or where, we can't, we can't directly know. Some people are saying I'm speculating and but gotta understand, A, I'm freestyling this all off the top of the dome, and B, all the information I present is there. It's there. So I'm a very intuitive person. So I'm going to take the dots and tell you what it looks like to me. Okay? But I say that I don't know if it's the case, but it looks like it could be the case, right? That's what an investigator does. So, yeah. See, there's a question here I missed. Will the test of the Presidential Emergency Alert System be the vehicle to release FISA declassification? Funny about that, we're still waiting about that. Remember, October 3rd, that FEMA test is supposed to go live. And I believe that's the day, if all these confirmation, if this process goes through, not Judge K, but Justice K, when he is confirmed, I believe it goes to, like, send it tomorrow. There's another something on Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday would be his first day on the chair. Interesting. Can't remember where I saw that timeline. I think it was on Twitter. Somebody posted it. Do more digging. But peculiar. His first day. Test. Question here, when will I be releasing my video on Max Spears? I'm going to send that to my editor friend for him to chop on up. So it might be a little bit. I've got a lot of video footage that I took over the past couple weeks that I still have yet to bring out. I'm checking for these super chats. Sorry guys, doing the super chats. I get so lost in talking that I miss them. Books. Cool. I'm going to talk about my books, and then I'm going to head on out. I love talking about my books. Let's turn this a little bit. There's the salt lamp. There's the books. I'm just going to go through them. Secret Teachings of All the Ages. Really quickly. A couple notes on each. Manly P. Hall goes through some deep esoteric research. Long, fantastic book. I still have yet to dive into it. A lot of people get triggered because he was a 33rd degree Mason, but understand it's not a black and white world. You can have good-hearted, good-intentioned people as well as bad-intentioned people in secret societies, for lack of a better term. A lot of connotation with that term, but don't let that trigger you. There's a lot of information that he was trying to bring, a lot of light he was trying to bring to the world. Urantia book, another huge one, just got this. Apparently it goes through a much more cosmic relearning of a lot of holy figures, Jesus and others, etc., etc. So very interested to read that. Joseph Campbell, Hero of the Thousand Faces, Hero's Journey, Optimum Nutrition Bible, Body Electric. This looks like a really interesting one because it talks about the electromagnetic nature of our body, all the different kinds of frequencies we have, how our brain has an electromagnetic field around it, our heart has an even bigger one, our DNA works electrically, electromagnetically, we have different organs that resonate at different frequencies. It gets into so much. When learning of the secrets of the universe, energy, frequency, vibration. Tesla, that'll help me learn about the body a little more. Antarctica's Hidden History, Dr. Michael Sala. Crucial work. Antarctica is a massive mystery in a lot of people's heads. This book will help you learn a lot about it. And it's also very informative on true Nazi history and what the aerospace programs of Nazis did and how they had really advanced stuff, right? Secret space program stuff. Brought it down to Antarctica, infiltrated into America, built it out more, etc., etc. So I'm not going to go through all of them. Ley lines and energies, learn about the Earth's ley lines a little bit. The masculine mystique. I'm always interested in archetypes, masculine, feminine, the hero's journey, understanding the brain in terms of psychoanalysis. So that looked interesting. Picked it up. Gonna read it eventually. What's that one? The Heartfulness Way. Quite frankly, I don't know what that one is. Let's see. Next book. Covert Wars and Breakaway Civilizations. Joseph P. Farrell. I'll read that one. Atlantis and the Power System of the Gods, David Hatcher Childress. Mercury Vortex Generators and the Power Systems of Atlantis. Yes, that deep esoteric physics, like I was discussing earlier, implosion as opposed to explosion. So, Mercury Vortex Generators. Infinite Energy Technologies, Eversoul. This talks about, I haven't read this book, but I know a lot about what's in it because it goes through figures I've studied. It goes through Nikola Tesla and his free energy research, what he was actually doing. It goes through T. Townsend Brown, how he was messing around with electrogravitics and making discs fly way early, way back in the 30s and 40s. You gotta understand, a lot of this advanced technology, it's really kind of simple. It's been around a long time, long, long time. Just keep it hidden. Keep it occulted. Let's see. The Way of the Superior Man. This is a really good book as well. delving into the dynamic of the masculine and the feminine, and how they not only how they complement each other, and how certain people can have dominant energies. You know, you can be a woman with a lot of masculine energy. That's not a bad thing. That's just who you are, etc., etc. Flip that over with the male. Let's see, a couple of David Wilcock books: Ascension Mysteries, Synchronicity Key. I have Source Field. I think I let somebody borrow that. I never got it back. Anyway, good reference books. They're kind of like encyclopedic, so they have a lot of information. It's good to reference now and again when you're trying to piece a lot of things together. The Kybalion. The Kybalion. I can't say enough about how this knowledge influenced me. Hermetic wisdom, philosophy, right? Trying to figure out how the universe operates. Okay? It's just fascinating. Look into it. A couple of the Law of Ones. I've read book 1. I haven't read book 2. But I've got, you know, you got to read the Law of One like probably 19 and a half times to really understand them. Forbidden Knowledge. Shout out to Jason Quit. Forbidden Knowledge. Quit is such a cool guy. The God Code by Greg Braden. Some Eckhart Tolle, you know, New Agey stuff. And then The Human Antenna. That's a pretty cool book. The Human Antenna. Not too much really science in that book, but there's a lot of testimony because it's a psychologist that was talking about near-death experiences and kinds of telepathic events and things that obviously have to do with human consciousness and the powers, the abilities associated with it. But he just recalls a bunch of experiences. He's like, how did these people know these things or come to find out these things? So the conclusion he came to is that we're all antennas. We're all antennas in this field. And in this field contains all the information that we could ever desire. And it's all about our ability to get that information into us through our minds, right? So Tesla did. He was like, the mind is divine God, and I just suck in my information through it. I download it. And our DNA is like a fractal torsion antenna. That's the way I think about it. And that's why being healthy is so important, because that's when the healthier you are, the better your antenna is going to operate and be able to tap into that electric universe, right? The mind of God, and then you'll be able to get insights a lot clearer, a lot easier, and connect with your higher self. You know, your intuition will lead you particular paths that what you really wanted. So, there's my bookshelf. Good talking to you guys this morning. I'll be back soon with some videos. Hope you have a wonderful Friday, wonderful weekend. Be talking to you soon.